As soon as you're ready. You ready? Ready. All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 8th, 2024 meeting of the Park Township Zoning Board of Appeals. We have a couple things to start with. We have an agenda in front of us. Y'all seen, there will be an addition to the end of the agenda. We talk about, I guess, term limits on the board. We'll put that right before, between 5 and 6. Are there any other additions or subtractions from the agenda? Hearing none, motion to approve with that change.
So.
Or support.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed no. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 4, 2024 the Board of Appeals. I have one change on page 4. Middle of the page, it says roll call vote and yeses, and one of them is listed as Dryer, and I wasn't here, so that's impossible. So I'm guessing that was Jane.
Add to the event page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any other changes, additions?
Mr. Chair, I have a change on page 5 at the very top. There's, looks like it's the continuation of some comments that were made. It states they tried to get as much into the setback as possible. I believe that should read, they tried to get as much out of the setback as possible, because there was a discussion there about reducing the non-conformity.
Okay, does that make sense to the rest of the board? Do you remember that? Sounds good.
That is right.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, motion with changes, please.
So moved.
And support.
Support.
All in favor of that, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. On to our one item for the evening. And Mika, if you would be so kind as to introduce that for us, please.
Yes, indeed. This application is for an oversized accessory building. The applicant is Mr. Brian Jones. The property is located on Higher Court, which is on the south side of Quincy, west of 160th, an area of larger lots. It's in the R1 Rural Estates Residential District. The request, there is already an accessory building on the property since it's over 2 acres that's permitted by right. So it would bring the total accessory building size to 4956.7 square feet, where 2,500 square feet is permitted by right.
Okay.
One other thing, sorry, it is both a height and a area request. So you'll notice in the review standards, the standards were pretty similar. It felt like just reiterating a lot of paper in order to put the standards completely separately. My suggestion would be to make a decision on one and then look at the other. The applicant has also provided an alternative if you wanted to look at bringing the height down, and I think he can probably speak to that.
Okay. Thank you. With that, is there the applicant or representative here? Please state your name and address for the record, and also sign in. Is there a paper up there?
There is. My name is Brian Jones, 3871 Hyder Court. And I'm here to request the size and height variance for an additional storage building that would be placed on the 7-2 property.
Okay.
In your packet, I've tried to put a bunch of information together to try to make this as clear as possible. I'm requesting a larger building for the use of personal storage, trailers, RVs, boats, etc. There would not be any commercial use of any kind located in this building. And I'm asking for 2% of the overall square footage of the lot, the 5.7 acres in total, to be used for a structure.
Okay.
Of this storage structure. The size goes to the acreage, the height goes back to, I think the code right now requires at least a 1-3 pitch on the roof. 1-3 pitch is pretty shallow for snow loads and those kinds of things. And I've seen it before in steel roof buildings or shingled roof buildings that you get backup on that. We'd really like to go to a 1-4. The problem with 1-4 is it really starts cutting into your overall height. And I'm really hoping to get a little bit of a variance on the height so that I can have a 1-4 and still have an 18-foot ceiling inside the building itself. I've given two different options on buildings. One is more of a square design. The other one is more of a long, narrow design. The long, narrow design is not as critical on the overall roof height because it's just a narrower span. So that certainly is a possibility as well to still get into the height requirement, although it's right on the edge, and still get a decent pitch, if you will, on the roof, just so that the building will be what I would consider to be of good quality for a longer period of time. I've really tried hard from a perspective of where the building is placed on the lot. If you go to, I think it's figure 4 in the description, it shows approximate distances to other buildings. It is diagram 4. As Mika indicated, I might be a little bit wrong on the church property. I was trying to go off of the GIS site and use their scaling thing, which is not the most accurate thing in the world, but I think the other distances are representative. There really is nothing else that's close to this area, and that's why I've kind of picked that area. I think you would have also seen from the pictures that it's heavily wooded. There are a lot of pine trees around it and other things. In addition to that, we really hope to do some screening around Hyder Court to continue to also kind of hide that area out. The colors that would be chosen for the building are not bright pink or anything along those lines. We really are going to try to find some colors that blend in well with the woods. We really want to try to make this thing disappear as much as possible. And you can also look at diagrams 5 and then I think it's 7 that show just kind of some different configurations on the building itself. But in general, that's what we're hoping to do. Again, personal storage, just trying to get things out of the weather. I hate trailers and that kind of stuff sitting outside.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
So I was going to say next, anybody have any questions for Ryan as he stands up there?
Did you talk with anybody at the church regarding what impact this might have in their opinion?
I've not talked to anyone at the church. I have talked to the closest neighbor, and she has no objection to it, given that it's going to be pushed all the way back against that far side.
We have a correspondence from the church and they're in favor of it.
Okay,
We have a
Excellent.
letter-
Thank
we
you,
have
Bill.
a from Ben Jacks on behalf of Ventura Baptist Church. They have no problem.
Excellent.
I've got one question. I didn't notice there was a comment made that the area that's proposed for the building is lower than the home. Is there like a survey to know like how much of a difference that?
I would guess it from standing around it would probably be about 8 feet.
Okay,
The home is built on a higher section, a little bit further away from it. I mean, it would be hard. The way the trees are right now, it's hard to even see the building from the home. But just to give you an idea, the home itself is probably at a 36 foot steep roof, high height.
Yeah. I
Just
did drive out there just before the meeting, so you probably, I don't know if you saw me.
Oh,
nosing around, but.
No, it doesn't,
out there.
but you're welcome to nose around.
But I was, I was guessing about 6 feet, but.
It's in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious. There was a
Yep.
technical data. That's it.
Anybody else? Why don't you take a seat? We'll have a public hearing in a minute and then we'll get back as for board discussion. Okay, with that, I will open the public hearing. And as I said a moment ago, we have one piece of correspondence from facilities manager of the Ventura Baptist Church that they are in support of this barn. Anyone in the audience like to speak on behalf of this item, either for or against, please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and also sign in, please.
Nancy Vanderbeek, 3865 North 160th. I'm the Blueberry Farm right behind him. I don't object to him having a building. I do object to where it's placed. I would rather see it in the center of his area that's left out there, simply because you're gonna be able to see a building that big with deciduous tree. We're all deciduous tree, or you are all deciduous trees through there, and you can see through there now. You can see through there all the way from 160th. I think, I've also realized that you've already approved a 4,000 square foot outbuilding on his road to one of his neighbors, I believe. On a parcel that's 3 point some acres.
I don't, I
The
can't
zoning
recall.
report, the zoning board had to, I think I saw it throughout your packet. Is that correct, Mika?
So for the public hearing part, just go ahead and give your comments to the board and then we'll,
Okay.
yeah, and I'll find
Okay.
that too.
All right. So I know it's a visibility thing already on his road. To us, it's gonna sit right down on our corner and, agriculture sprays every 5 to 7 days in the summertime, blueberries do. And that gets to be an issue with, opening up woods and putting buildings in and, all that. I also spoke with our neighbor on the north side of us, Jeff Colleen, at 3929 North 160th. He is also against where it's sitting or proposed to sit. To me, it would take up less trees. If you look at your aerial view that he provided in his packet, you're really taking out less trees by centering it in what's left between his house, the church property, our property, and Hyder Court. If you can give us 100 feet instead of 50 feet, I think you're probably about 300 feet deep from our property to Hyder Court. It was hard for me to tell on your survey, but it looked like that. So if you place it in between, you're going to take down less trees, gives us more of a buffer, and you're already going to be seeing, large outbuildings on Hyder Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So kind of think that's it.
Right. Anyone else in the audience like to speak on behalf of this item before our guest?
I'm Jeff Vanderby. Hi, Brian, your neighbor. My biggest concern is just the buffer. If you can move the building more to the west. Because like Nance said, when we spray, and we try not to spray when the wind is going that direction, but it's not a perfect world. You get drifts and 50 feet isn't a lot.
Yeah. And possibly putting a buffer of, cedar trees or something fast growing that, does block the visibility as well as, deciduous trees. You really do, you're gonna be able to see a long ways.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Robert Chambers, I live at 3825 North 160th, and his land butts against ours on probably our northwest corner. He's up to the southeast here. And I was just wondering, I didn't see the drawings of his buildings. And were they going to be lengthwise, or have you decided yet, Ryan? Where are you going to go lengthwise with your extra 4,000 feet or 4,200?
Yes, that's fine.
So this is Hyder Court that comes down. This is Quincy up here. So this is
we're south of you.
So you're down this way?
Yeah.
So it's on the furthest point away from where you're at. And it's running parallel to Hyder. Does that make sense? So it's the furthest point back. If you stood on this point back here, you'd have to look through
All the way through there.
5 acres of trees to see it.
Because I was wondering on our estate, if we sell property off the back of it, my sons do, if there'll be we'd like to have somebody where you're facing the, like a forest or something rather than a big long
Yeah,
barn out there,
So
so
if you're
it'd
south,
be worthless.
if you're south, you're as far away
He's
from.
gonna be farther north, right?
Yeah, he's as far
He's gonna
north
be
as
on
his
the north
property
end.
he can go. So he's gonna be closer, he's
Okay.
right behind the church property.
And I was also wondering why they make ordinances when they keep fudging on them. If you give me 45, I want 55. Does everybody get that or just a few?
Well, that's a broad question, depends on the circumstances of each
Uh-huh.
individual.
Well, I'm just,
application. And
because
that's the
they
part
have,
of-
you have it's where the ordinances are where it's 24 feet. You want 28 feet. He explained because of the pitch and the snow. I got snow problems on my house too, and I got problems there too, but I was just wondering how you can fudge another 4.
Well, as you will see, everybody has a right to an application for a
Uh-huh.
variance, every person in this township. And that's why this board is here, because
Okay.
that's how things work. And then when you come with an application, we will deliberate on it. We will take the facts that are pertinent in that situation and we'll make a ruling.
Okay, so if I want a building or whoever wants a building back there, I can build one 100 foot long by 45 or 49 by 49 foot wide, right? Because he's looking for 4,900 feet.
Not necessarily.
Can I get one? Seeing it's going to be, I don't know when I want to, or my son wants to, but I should be able to build one back if he can build one with an extra 4,900 feet.
You have the right to apply for a variance.
But if he gets his,
Not
doesn't
necessarily.
that set a precedent?
No. It's every case is individual. Thank you for your
Every
comment.
case is different, right?
Yep.
It's going to be in the same vicinity, but it's still.
Well, we're arguing about something that's not happening. So I don't know. I don't really
Okay.
want to go down this track too far
That's
because
all I
we're
wanted to
not.
know.
So,
And he said he was going to take care of that, how it blends in.
Yep.
Seems to me a longer one with a lower roof line would help quite a bit because the people, if they'd ever want to sell, they go look into the forest back there. There's no forest. There's just a building.
thank you for your comments.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Anyone else? See, now I'm going to close the public hearing and open up for board discussion. And as Mika said, first, we're going to, there's 2 different items. It's actually 2 applications, right, Mika? There's a height and then, so we will handle the square footage first.
And Mr. Chair, on page 5, under additional staff comments, Ms. Vanderby mentioned sizes that were approved in the neighborhood. And so I went back around 5 years or so and pulled what I was able to find both in the vicinity and with other accessory buildings, just to give kind of a sense of what has been approved in the past. So.
Okay. We've seen like we've approved in several cases at 2% over the years, haven't we?
Yeah, so I think the question for the board is going to be, what's your primary focus? Is it on the 2%? Is it on the overall parcel, like 2% of the parcel size? Is it on the overall size of the structure? How do those 2 things balance? That seems to me to be where it came down.
Okay. Okay, let's open up for board discussion. Anybody have any thoughts? Any more questions for the applicant? I guess I would like to hear from the applicant, the Vanderbeek's comments about moving it. I mean, I don't necessarily, I guess I'm kind of hearing something that if this goes forward, we're going to ask you to put up some green, either some like, as Vanderbeek said, either some fast growing green. Yeah, everybody's just whatever, or if you, please come to the microphone. I don't know what you thought about moving it over 50 feet.
I mean, moving it over 50 feet, I don't have a problem with it. It does put it closer to the neighbor on Hyder Court. I mean, as far as it would bring it closer to Hyder Court. Now, that being said, I'm already planning on putting up trees down Hyder Court to quote unquote shield it. I grew up on a farm. I get your concern of residential stuff next to a farm. I don't have a problem putting trees down that line as well as protecting the trees that are already there. I mean, I'm not going to clear cut this thing to the property line. My goal is to minimally put the trees in, or, I'm not clear cutting.
It seems to me that if you move it 50 feet over, you're still gonna be 400 feet from the neighbor across Hyder Court.
And especially with the narrower design. If I was doing the square, and I don't have a problem doing the narrow design, I think in some ways it's probably going to be better anyway.
Okay,
So that the narrower design, I already pick up some feet in doing that. So moving it so that it's 100 foot offline, I personally don't have an issue with.
okay,
And as far as being committed to putting up trees, I'll put up trees. I'll do everything I can to get them to live. You know what it's like putting trees up in the woods, right? That to some degree, they're going to need some sunlight, but I don't want to cut down what's there. I get it. So am I willing to? Absolutely. I'm not looking to make any enemies here at all.
well, we'll probably make, then if this goes forward, we'll probably make that part of the decision.
Okay.
That you would move it to 100 feet from the
Okay.
east line, and then we would ask you to put up some green barrier of some sort.
Yep.
To hide it.
Happy to do those things.
And you just said you're more happy with the long one, and that one doesn't need the height variance, then, right?
Well, even if I could get a foot, it would be tremendous.
What do you need for your 412?
For 412, it's gonna, I think the zone right now is 24. If I could get 25 and a half, it'd be killer.
28.
Well, yeah, I could certainly come off the 28. If we said even just a straight 26, it would be phenomenal. Cause I could get 40, I could get the 412 pitch and still get the sidewall.
Right.
That's just kind
I
of,
wasn't really looking at the narrow one. How wide is that barn?
how wide? 40
Yeah.
feet. It's only 40 feet wide.
40 feet, so 20, what would that be, Dave? That'd be.
So you got 20 times 4, 80
so it's
inches.
7 plus 18, 25, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so you got 80 inches plus your
No.
cord. So yeah, you're
So 26,
85, 86 inches.
26
something like
max
that.
would be acceptable on that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
So are you requesting 108 feet long by 26?
No, 108 by 40 feet wide.
I know, but you're requesting
Oh,
height
if
variance,
we-
not the 108.
Yes, if we could, if we could do, even if you could give me 25 and a half off of the 24, I'd be thrilled.
okay. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions for each other or for applicants? Or again, we're talking about the size of the building, it's not the height at this point. And you have to go through, I'm sorry, you go through the 6 standards and 38, 491. No, 5 standards, right? Sorry. 5 standards. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
I just have some general comments before we get into the specific elements, I guess,
Okay.
that we're supposed to look at. So based on my review, I thought that the proximity of this to the east boundary line was problematic. And I think that's kind of where this discussion has gone. But I thought between the lack of screening and the very industrial nature of this building plan, that presented a potential issue. So I'm happy to hear that the applicant is willing to move the building further from the east line and to add that screening, because I think, we do look at some of the other approvals that were issued over the years, and while we're not bound by those, they certainly provide some guidance. And the 2 examples that were given on Hyder Court and Greenlee Street, in my opinion, are easily distinguishable from what we're looking at here, because when I visit those properties, there is a significant amount of screening. They're more residential in nature. The building characteristics are softer. They match the homes. It just felt like a different vibe, I guess, for lack of a better word. But so I think the screening alleviates some of my concern on the appearance of just a large structure with no characteristics, to soften it into. We have to keep in mind this is a residential building, and I think just on paper it looks more commercial or industrial. So while I think it's relevant that there have been approvals in the past, I think they have limited applicability in this situation.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments for each other? Any more thoughts? If there is no more, I guess if we're ready, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I know it would be unusual to ask a member of the audience a question, but I think it seems like we may have a consensus in the room that the owners of the blueberry fields are most impacted by what was presented initially. And so given now that there's a question about potentially adjusting the height on the proposed 108-foot building, if it's acceptable, I would like to hear their opinion about longer and taller versus
Okay.
shorter and taller, I guess.
Yeah, your
From their
biggest, I just took it, and I guess I should have come back to you too. Thank you, Crystal, but you said 50 feet, you would be happy with that. Is that still?
100.
Yeah, another 50, another 50. That's what we talked about, to be 100 feet from your property line.
I'd like to.
But with
Yeah.
100 feet plus screening, yes, and we will, if it goes forward, we will add that to the ruling. And you're okay with that?
I would be.
Okay, all right. Good call.
One question. How much room is there between the east border and the west border?
About 300 feet. To me, looking at the way the survey is done, it looks like there's 300 feet from the church's side, almost up to where your little outbuilding is. And
No, I'm talking about the east and west.
About 326 feet.
Yeah, 326.
it almost looks squared off.
Yeah,
About
326. That would probably go to the center of Hyder Court. Right?
Not as it's drawn on this survey.
That's the.
Okay. Okay,
Is the building gonna go north and south or east and west?
It would go north and south.
Go north and south.
okay,
So that was really my question, because there were two proposals, one being a 60 by 72, one being a 40 by 108. So 60 by 72 taller or 40 by 108, not as tall. Longer and shorter is the preference. And that's what the applicant's asking. Okay,
I mean,
okay.
it'd be less visible with some barrier besides, but if, yeah.
Okay.
I guess when you look at how big is left there, I would think that that would be suitable.
okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, could you confirm the size of the building and the height of the building that we finally discussed? And
The applicant is now asking for 108 by 40 feet,
the height,
26 foot. 25?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd make 24 work. It'd be great if I could get a little higher, but it's not.
Well, you can't get a 412 in 24 feet.
I can't get the sidewall. I mean, it's gonna be just.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I start with an 18, you're 12, you're 4, and then 8 is, yeah, I'd be right at 24 feet.
Right.
24, 20, a little over 24 feet, want it. If you started with an 18-foot sidewall, 412 would be another
6 feet. and you're
6
about
plus.
7.
Okay, 25 feet, you would make it.
Right.
Okay, 25 feet.
good. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion if it's appropriate.
All right. Motion to,
Approve with conditions.
okay,
The standards that need to be met are in section 38-491. And so I'll review the standards and then discuss the conditions. The first standard is that the area / height of the accessory building in relation to the size of the lot on which it is to be placed. And based on staff comments, combining the existing accessory building with the proposed new structure brings the requested total to 4,848 square feet, which is 1.9% of the parcel size. The 28 feet requested for the height.
no, we're gonna do that with separate, Dennis.
Okay,
Yeah, so just,
we'll move on the size of the building. Okay. So it appears that this standard can be met. Second standard is the area and height of the accessory building in relation to the principal building on the lot on which the accessory building is to be placed. Based on staff input, the footprint of the primary structure is approximately 4,165 square feet, just slightly under the square footage of the new proposed structure. So this standard can be met. Third, the location of the accessory building in relation to other buildings on the adjoining lots and in relation to the principal building on the lot. After a discussion here and staff's comment, we have principally had the applicant meet the standard with the revisions that he's proposed. Finally, whether or not the accessory building will affect the light, air circulation, and any adjoining property. According to staff's comments, the location of the proposed structure, light and air circulation of adjoining properties would not be expected to be affected due to either the overall size or height of the proposed accessory structure. So that can be met. And finally, whether the accessory building will adversely affect the adjoining property or view from the adjoining property. Based on staff input, the significant stand of pines separating the church from the subject property will not affect the direction. Structure will be visible from the blueberry field, but as the applicant has suggested with the conditions, would not propose violating this standard, so it can be approved. Conditioned on this is moving the building 100 feet from the east lot line and planting additional trees. So I think the standards have been met and we could approve the applicant's proposed
okay,
building.
do I have a support?
Mr. Eid, did you want to specify the type of trees or leave it open to any kind of tree? As far as,
So I would like to,
Differs, I would say, right?
yeah, evergreen,
And then just to clarify, those are between the building, on the east side of the building, is that correct?
and the west side.
And the west.
Any more discussion? Mika, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cerny,
Yes.
Mr. Eid,
Yes,
Mr. Fleece,
Yes.
Ms. Morgan,
Yes.
Mr. Dryer.
Yes. All right, on to, we'll go over the same thing with the height, requested height of a 25 feet, not the original 8 feet, and is there any more discussion on that before we talk about, would somebody like to make a motion on this?
Just to be clear on the height though, the rise run you need, I mean, that's equating to about 80 inches, right? So what do you need already for the,
Well, I was hoping to have 18-foot sidewall, so 80 inches plus the 4, it's gonna be like 86 inches past the 18 by 18, so it's like right at 7. You're right at 7 feet, maybe a couple inches, but yeah, it's there, it's right at 25.
18, you said for the sidewalls?
Yes.
Okay.
You sure?
I'll go, I mean, what do I need to do?
I don't know. I don't, I'm not an engineer either. I just want to make sure.
That's what we do.
Okay,
You could go 18-foot sidewall and then you could
You-
go.
you can make-
stitch.
and make it 7 feet.
26 would work, I think.
26 would work for sure. I don't think it's gonna be quite that much. That's why it's somewhere between
Just under
and 26. It's real close to 25.
You're just under it.
Yeah.
If you're at 18 and you need another 80 inches at 412. Yeah, I mean. You're very close. 725.
Well, you can put the slope wherever you want, but if you're happy at 25, then that's what we're gonna put down.
Can we go 25 and a half?
That's
I mean, I don't mean to push past.
25.6,
We did, go ahead. He wants a 412, but 412.
yeah.
well, then we'll go to maximum of 26. We can specify it's gonna be 18-foot sidewalls, 412 pitch,
So,
maximum of 26 feet.
perfect. Beautiful.
Maybe we can spell that out. So then if you get it done at 25 and a half, that's where you need to do it.
Perfect.
Okay?
I'm not asking, I don't want any more than.
No, I appreciate that. That's being straight up. That's good. So, and then if we specify those things, then you have to put a 412 on an 18-foot sidewall, and that's what you're gonna get. So, okay?
Thank you.
All right, now that that's clarified and Mika's got that written down. Do we have a motion? And if you make the motion, it's gonna run through the 5 standards, quick, not quick, but 5 standards and anyone.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve a 412 roof on an 18-foot sidewall, not to exceed 26 feet. Correct?
Correct. Okay, so we'll start with standard 38-491, again, that the height of an accessory building in relation to the size of the lot on which it is to be placed. 28-foot requested height may be proportional to the size of the requested structure as well as size of the parcel, but we're talking about 26-foot height instead of 28. So I'll amend that. And it is proportional to the size requested. So I think that is met.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Standard 2, that the height of the accessory building in relation to the principal building on the lot on which the accessory building is to be placed. So the height of the primary structure, I think it was 35 feet. So this is well below that at the maximum of
This is 9.5.
6 feet. Yeah, so 9.5 difference would be the result. I think that standard could be met.
Plus the house is on higher, a higher
Yeah, the
footprint.
footprint, yeah.
So it's gonna look not even close to the height of the house.
Standard 3, that the location of the accessory building in relation to other buildings on the adjoining lots in relation to the principal building on the lot.
The height of it doesn't really.
I don't know how is that applicable to the height, but I would say,
That it follows the same standard, then it's already is set apart from fire department.
Yeah, my thought was that it was really similar in that you've got a certain amount of distance from the other structures.
And by moving it another 50 feet from the east lot line, that makes it,
It lessens the impact.
yes.
right,
The
diminishes.
visual impact.
Yep.
Mhm.
Standard 4, whether or not the accessory building will affect light air circulation of any adjoining property. Given the location of this and where it's placed relative to all things around it, I don't think there's any impact for light and or circulation with anyone else in the neighborhood. Standard 5, whether the accessory building will adversely affect the adjoining property or the view from the adjoining property. Again, I think based on the area variance granted and the buffers provided. I think it's-
In the moving at 50 feet from the lot line and lowering it by 2 feet.
And by lowering it by 2 feet, yeah, that's correct. That it is diminishing the massiveness of it.
Okay. Do I have a support?
Support.
All right. Any more discussion? Mika, can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Cerny,
Yes.
Mr. Ede,
Yes.
Mr. Fleece.
Yes.
Ms. Morgan,
Yes.
Chair Dryer.
Yes. All right, thank you all for your participation and your comments, and I think we hopefully have happy neighbors walking out of here tonight and Ryan gets his barn and you guys don't get to see it so much, so. That's kind of our goal here, so we appreciate a lot when the neighbors come in and they want to work with other neighbors, because as you can tell, that's how it gets done here, and that's kind of why, because if you wouldn't have came in, more than likely, it probably would have been 50 feet from your property, you know? So thank you for taking time to make a difference.
Everybody gained.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a couple more things. I guess before we go into we'll have a public comment period. Anyone in the audience like to speak to the board about any item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and we will talk quick a minute about what the board's gonna do from here. So apparently, as Mika, we talked about a little bit before, for the record, Dave and I are not eligible for reappointment. So that means next month is the last month. And also on there, I see that Dennis has one more year. And Kathy has one more year as an alternate. So I will not be here next month. I'm going to be going on vacation, and so this is my last meeting. And I guess if the board listens to this, I think you made a terrible mistake. I don't understand when you have volunteers that are willing to do this with some experience, why would you throw them off before they want to be done? If they don't do a good job, you just don't reappoint them. I hope the board hears this, and I'm really disappointed because you left this board in a quandary right now. You're gonna lose your chair and your vice chair right out of the gate. And you better get going because we have stuff going on and you have 30 days to fill it. So, and it takes a lot of experience off this board at one time, and that's just a very bad business management decision. And I hope you hear this, and I hope you know how disappointed. Not that I'm done. This is not me personally. It's just not a good way to do it. So I wish you would have thought about this a little bit more and at least had it somehow figured out how to spread it out a little bit. Because this is going to be, and I feel sorry for the folks that are going to be left here. It's going to be inefficient for you for a little bit. And again, not because of me, but because you're going to lose 2 people at once. And 2 of your more experienced people. So
I agree with you 100%.
So those thoughts can be brought back to the board, Lauren, from us, from me. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about that or how they feel. And again, I'm going to be done in 20 years. I'm fine being done. I really am. But I just think it's not a good way to do it.
Mr. Chair, I couldn't agree more. I also am perplexed with the timing and the pressure to put on replacing members. I think there should be a hiatus of time and more consideration should be given to how we proceed with replacing people whose terms are up.
Thank you. And the board should inform this board because I guess ignorance is my fault, but we didn't even know this was happening. We could have internally worked a little bit and we shouldn't have been chair and vice chair anymore. We should have moved that on. So, but anyway, it's done. So.
No, I share your shock. Doug, I appreciate everything you've done for the township and working alongside of you. You know, it's been great and I'm gonna miss that. But yeah, this is the first I've noticed, and shame on me too for not being more open to what was happening with the decisions made. I just wasn't aware of it. So this is the first I was hearing about it too tonight.
Well, I have appreciated working with both of you and I've learned a lot from you in the short time I've been here. And I agree that losing a chair and a vice chair of a board like this at the same time with such short notice could be problematic. I mean, certainly we will do our best.
Yeah,
to
I'm
fulfill
sure you
our
will.
duties, but there is a loss of institutional knowledge for sure. Everyone brings different skill sets to the table and we're losing two valuable members of the board at an inopportune time, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And let me say this, I've enjoyed my time here a lot and I really, really was thankful that I got to be on a good board and I was looking forward to working with you a little bit more because it's only been a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave, I've been working with you for 9 years apparently.
Yeah.
So that's what the rules say. And Dennis is good. We've been together a long time too. And I think what this board has done, I
We
guess.
certainly have, and in terms of leadership and I'm just really perplexed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, even tonight, I wasn't as nice to that man as I could have been, but I was a little off my game. I'm a little bit shocked because I did not figure this is how it was gonna end.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, it's like, well, I go, I'm done. Didn't even think, I never thought about it. I'm done now. This is it. And I go, wow, okay. So I apologize to that gentleman. And if I was a little bit, it's like,
You are fine, Tim. Don't lose sleep over that tonight. I think
But-
you did a good job of being the chairperson and keeping it on task. So I wouldn't lose any sleep over that. And he left with a smile on his face, so.
yeah, thank you. So
Mr.
Lauren, good work with you too, and bring our concerns back to the board. And I know it's not gonna change anything for now, but it's like, and Mika, I really enjoyed working with you. You've
Yeah.
been you've done as well, no, you've done better than many of the people that preceded you, and I appreciate working with you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed working with you as well. And I apologize for the lack of notice.
It's not your fault.
Snuck up on me, but it's something that I should have communicated as soon as I should have put the pieces together
Yeah.
and didn't put the pieces together right away. So.
Sorry.
Mr. Chair, I have a procedural question.
Yes,
Mhm.
Given that the chair is leaving tonight and we haven't even got appointments for the people we're replacing, how would staff recommend we proceed with designating a new chair?
So based on what I know, we'll be trying to get appointments made for it would be the June meeting. That's going to be tight, but we will try to do that. So for the next meeting, this would still be existing. So that would be Mr. Fleece for the next meeting as the chair. And then at the point that we have new members seated, that would be the decision point of, okay, who's going to be the chair, who's going to be the vice chair for moving forward.
Thank you.
Mika, do we have items for next month?
We have, I think, 5.
Oh,
So it's a big agenda. Before I left on spring break, I had asked several of the applicants for more information and I didn't get all the way through that yet. So it's possible that not everybody got as much in as they needed to, but it's up to 5.
okay. And I didn't do that on purpose, folks. I had this, we're going on a Mediterranean cruise. I've had this on the books for 2 years, so. And I'm so excited. I'm not staying home for this.
yeah.
All right, anybody else have anything? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say yes. All right. Okay.